Hi, I'm Colin and welcome to How to Paint Watercolours. So if you're ready, we'll get started and we'll paint this one. Hello and welcome back to my channel again, How to Paint Watercolours with me, Colin. I've drawn this little farm scene. We'll do a little series on farms, and what I'm doing, I'm just leaving a thin film of water on the paper and I'm just mopping up the excess from around the sides to stop any runbacks. And I'm using the Turner's Artist quality paints again today. Stunning, fabulous paints, really concentrated pigments, and they range from £3.67 upwards, so you can afford them. I'll leave a link in the description box where you can get them from, and they will hold their own with any other paint manufacturers. Okay, we're ready to go. And I'm just taking some cobalt blue and I'm just going to drizzle this into the wet paper, leaving some light patches for clouds, softening some areas in. And into that some Naples yellow, bring it down over the hill. This is going in the lower part of the sky, a bit around the front of the farm. And I think while we're here, just drop in a weak wash of raw sienna. Just drying off the farmhouse, that's all, on the wall. And before we put the rest of the cloud in, we're going to allow this to dry off a little while until the shine has gone off the paper, and then we'll add some clouds. Now that the painting's dried out a little bit, I'm using a mixture of cobalt blue, Turner red and light red, just to create a very soft grey cloud. Push it into the other colour, but still leaving some of the white patches showing, softening off some areas. This is a touch of olive green, cadmium yellow with some raw umber. I'm just going to bring this in a little bit here, adding a little to this hill. Okay, and now we're going to leave this to dry. Now that it's dry, I've just set the board at a slight angle and I've clipped the paper all the way around, and I'm just going to re-wet this back hill. Once again in with the raw sienna, mopping up any excess. Olive green, burnt umber, sorry, olive green, raw umber and light red. Just a little stronger, this one. And I also want to put in some little shots of light red as well. Then with a damp brush and taking some of your cloud colour, cobalt blue, Turner red and some light red, I'm just going to water this down. And we're just going to drag the brush on the paper just to create some background trees. Few tree trunks, branches. Pull it into the wet paint below, it doesn't matter. Some of the cloud colour once again. Take a damp brush and I'm going to soften off back into the hill. Very pale here. And now we're just going to leave this to dry. Now that the background hill is dry, I'm just taking some olive green and burnt umber. I'm just going to put the tops of these fir trees in. There's two mixtures of this. One is lighter than the other because it was light and dark. I'm going to move to a bigger brush now. You know, some people ask me, you know, what brushes I'm using, what size, and there's no real need for that really. If you should pick a brush that you are comfortable with using. Some people do paintings with just one brush. I don't, I use several kinds, and depending on the days, depending what I get out. Sometimes I only use a couple of brushes and sometimes I use a lot. It's entirely up to you. You just use any brush that you feel comfortable with. This is the darker of the two, olive green and burnt umber. It just has more burnt umber in it, and I'm just going to drop it in one side of the tree and allow it to drift a little bit. Touch of light red and burnt umber. Just going to darken that, I think. That's a darker shade. Use this one. Then I'm just going to turn the board round while we do the branches. This is a rigger brush. Burnt umber and French ultramarine into the tops of these. Just a little sprinkled in here and there, just to give you a little extra dark bit of contrast. Turn it around and have a look at it. Taking a mop brush and breaking it open, and with some of the lighter of the two greens, olive and burnt umber, just very gently press this on. Don't go too heavy handed. Then moving on to the darker of the two, break it open again. Just add a touch of dark into it, just on the right hand side. And I just want to put some lighter green as well on this side. It's olive green, cadmium yellow and raw umber. And then we're going to let that dry. Now it comes to the farm building, so I'm just going to get a weak wash of cobalt blue. Just add a little water to that. Into that, just dropping some French ultramarine and burnt umber in, softening it all into the cobalt blue, and I just want to drop some of the olive green and burnt umber just to add a little bit of variation to it. And while we're waiting for this to dry, have a look at the wall. So I'm just going to re-wet the wall, and I'm going to leave some white patches on the top of the coping stones, or the capping stones. So I'm just going to wet both sides. Into that, I'm going to drop some cobalt blue, some light red, some of the green, so it might look like it has moss growing on it, some of the French ultramarine and burnt umber, soften some of this in, just a little kitchen towel, some clean water, just soften it into the grass. I think we're just going to leave this to dry for a moment or two, and then we'll carry on with the house. So I want to take some of this cobalt blue once again, and at the gable end I'm going to put a light coat of this in, a little bit of water. Into that I want to drop some light red here and there, some French ultramarine and burnt umber. Just along this back edge here, I just want to hide, almost hide the roof of the house in with this tree. Painting around the capping stones, this will help the stone wall to stand out at that point. Taking some of the cobalt blue once again, a bit of water with that. And I'm going to leave the farmhouse looking white, whilst the rest of this becomes in shadow. Dropping some light red in. Softening it in. Sort of soften it into the ground as well. Prince Ultramarine and Burnt Umber. And I just want to drop some under the eave for a shadow. Softening it all in. Taking a detail brush and with the French Ultramarine and Burnt Umber. Don't want any split on that. French Ultramarine and Burnt Umber. Just going to put some dry stone wall of this in. Just adding one or two of the stonework that's in the dry stone wall. Picking out some light and dark spots. You can do this with a rigger brush, or you can use a fine detail brush like I have here. This is entirely up to you. Don't want to go overboard with this. French Ultramarine and Burnt Umber once again, but this is to the brown side. I'll just put the gate post in here. French Ultramarine and Burnt Umber. Just adding a little shadow side to everything. So I'm just going to leave that to dry off and then we can finish the house off. Once that's dry, with a small rigger brush or a very small detail brush, we can just put some brickwork in on the farmhouse. Using broken lines, it always seems to look better. And once again, don't go overboard with this. It's just an indication. Spot some windows in. Just a little shadow under the eave. A few roofing tiles, wouldn't go amiss. Sneak a little bit of red in. This will really help pull your eye into the painting. The red chimney pots. And always fade off the bottom of the colour in the door, so you can't tell where the colour stops or starts. Just want a little bit of clean water. Run it into the where the door openings are. It's either a garage or a barn. It's a farmhouse, it'll be a barn. French Ultramarine and Burnt Umber. And I'm just going to allow this to drift in and out. Just let it be darker in some areas and lighter in others. I'm taking a big flat brush and I'm just going to wet the bottom half of this paper again up to the path. But I might just go all the way across it, it's easier. Then we can begin to strengthen the foreground up. This is olive green with some raw umber in it and just a touch of cadmium yellow just to brighten it. Just a touch of raw umber and light red. Moving on to a deeper mix of the same colour. This is your tree mixture. Olive green and burnt umber. Oh, the darker one, the real dark one. Softening the edges off. I just want to drop some cadmium yellow in just to brighten this area. French Ultramarine and Burnt Umber in the path. Just softening the edges down. And now we're going to leave that to dry. Now that your grass is dry, I'm just going to put some burnt umber and light red. I'll just put a few pebbles or rocks in along here. Just adds a little bit of more interest into the path. And once we have that, what I want to do now is emphasise the farmhouse. So what I'm going to do is glaze over the bottom part of the grass here with some burnt umber and French Ultramarine. and just softening the edges off. This is where you get around to the best bit. This is where you get to sign it, mount it and frame it, but I'm just going to put a couple of birds in. Just make sure my hand is dry. And I think we'll have it here, I think. Now I have to leave this to dry, then you can sign it. And once you've signed it, you can mount it and frame it. So hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please click the like button and subscribe. And you are quite welcome to leave a comment. And I'll leave a link in the description box for the paints I've been using, and I'll leave a link in the description box for the rest of the videos I've made for YouTube. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Just before we get to sign it, now it's dry, I just want to put, as the sun's coming in from this direction, there would be a shadow here from this building. I will leave a link in the description box to the other videos I've made, and also a link in the description box to the paints and materials I've used, and you can go and view them if you wish to. Thank you for watching.